All right, so now we're going to move on to trapezoids. So if you remember, a trapezoid is a polygon that has one pair of parallel sides. So these two sides are parallel. You can notice we label them as base 1 and base 2. So base 1 is going to be, you can kind of think of it as the top of the trapezoid. Base 2 will be the bottom, or vice versa. It honestly doesn't matter how you label that because you'll get the same answer in the end. But it is that entire base and the entire base. And the trapezoids do have a height. The height is going to be the segment that connects the two bases, forming a right angle like that. So our area formula for a trapezoid, and one thing, if you've noticed, see how we have A for area, and then we're writing in very small the word trapezoid. So we have a lot of area formulas, and so that's how we're differentiating, because they're all area A equals, but what type of area you're finding. So we can just write kind of as a subscript what the shape is that you're finding the area of. All right, so area of a trapezoid, the formula is 1/2 times the height, and then parentheses, we're going to multiply this by the sum of the bases, so B1 plus B2. So that's how we're finding the area of a trapezoid. So just to show you how this works, for example, let's say that our base 1 was equal to 2, our base 2 was equal to 4, and we had a height of 2. Following the formula, area is equal to, we would do 1/2 times our height, which is 2, times B1, 2, plus B2, which is 4, and then we just simplify this. So we can go ahead and add the 2 plus 4 together. That's going to give us 6. And then we can just multiply these together. 1/2 times 2, 1/2 times 2 is 1, and 1 times 6 is 6. So we end up with our area equal to 6, and then units squared. All right, so there is a special kind of trapezoid to keep in mind in case we come across it, and that's called an isosceles trapezoid. An isosceles trapezoid, so it's still a trapezoid, so you're going to have parallel bases. So here's our base 1 and our base 2, so those are still parallel. And then it says that the non-parallel sides will be congruent. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this is this side and this side. Those are the non-parallel sides. Those are congruent in an isosceles trapezoid. What that tells us is that the triangles on the end are also congruent. So if we draw that vertical line in for the height, those triangles are congruent. So that means that, you know, here's our height and our height. The height is congruent. And then also, if we're looking just within the triangle itself, this part of the triangle will be congruent to that part of the triangle. This is only true in an isosceles trapezoid. We do call these also the non-parallel sides. Maybe they are referenced as the legs of the trapezoid as well. So, for example, let's say we were told this was an isosceles trapezoid. I know it's not drawn perfectly. That means that these triangles on the end are congruent. If this is 8 up top, this is going to be an 8 on the bottom, because you can see that when we draw in those heights creating the triangles, we do have this rectangle, so those will be congruent. Our legs of the triangles and legs of the trapezoid are congruent. Let's say if this was 3, then we knew that this would be 3 over there. If this was a 5, we know that that would be a 5 over there. So if you know it's an isosceles, you can match up some congruencies within the trapezoid. All right, we also have something called a median of a trapezoid. So the median of a trapezoid is a line segment that joins the midpoints of the non-parallel sides of a trapezoid. So here's what this means. These are the non-parallel sides of our trapezoid right here. So they're saying that if you take the midpoint, which is going to be right there, of one side and take the midpoint of the other side, and if you draw a line connecting those two midpoints, that is the median. It's basically in the middle of your two bases because you have base 1 up here and base 2 down here. Now, because those are midpoints, we know that this will be congruent to that, and the other leg is cut in half, so that will be congruent to that. So if you have to find the median of a trapezoid, good news, there's a nice little formula to help us find it. That's going to be equal to 1/2 of base 1 plus base 2. So basically, if you add your two bases and divide it in half, you get the median. It's kind of similar to midpoints. If you guys remember midpoint, we added the x's. You don't have to write this down, but remember when we found midpoints and we said x1 plus x2 and then we cut it in half? That's kind of what it's doing. It's adding your two bases and then multiplying by half to get in the middle of it. Okay. So that's your median of a trapezoid.